This is Torsten from T-Rex. I'm sitting here with Mike Tramp, former lead singer of White Lion, Freak of Nature, and you're out on your own now with your 6th album.
Yes.
On tour with that.
Yes.
So, and you're playing here tonight. What do you do before a concert? Do you have anything you...
Well, you know, it definitely has changed from the old days when I was like a bit of a gymnast and a singer on stage at the same time. Now that I stand with the guitar, I'm a little more tied together the mic stand. At the same time, it's also made me much more relaxed and give me a much more chance to enjoy the music that I'm playing. Not to keep referring to the 80s, but back in the 80s, it was a different game. We were up against different things. People wanted to see different things. And it was really nice to get back to what I'm doing right now. And when I'm saying back, it's kind of because before I was in White Lion, I had grown up with folk music and simple songwriting and stuff like that, and that's my original background. That I then ended up in a heavy metal hard rock band in America, similar to Van Halen, something like that. It was just like a left turn on the road. But now that I'm doing this, I'm really enjoying the whole thing of being in music.
How did you end up in US in the first place, actually?
I think it was just really a matter of my dreams just didn't belong in my home country of Denmark. Everybody on the street looked upon life a completely different way than I did, and I knew for me to be able to follow through with my dreams and also achieve the musical sound that I was looking for. I had to be in a place where people weren't pointing fingers at me when I was walking down the street with long, bleached blonde hair, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And everybody knows the second you're in America, it's land of the dreams. It's land of self-expression and stuff like that. Even though here in Denmark we run around naked on the beach, America's still the country where you have that freedom to express yourself.
Yeah.
All the way.
And you just came over there and all of a sudden was the lead singer of White Lion, or how did it happen?
Well, my Danish band had traveled to America, and it was sort of at the end of our career when I had taken over and led us in the direction of an American sound, and the 80s had just started. It's just the early 80s. And when we're talking about 1981, 1982, MTV had just started. David Letterman had just started when we came to New York. I mean, all these different things had started, and I arrived there, and I kissed the ground when I arrived in the country. And I think it was only 2 hours after we had gotten into the house, I took the train to get straight to 48th Street, because I'd read about all those music stores next to each other and how some of the old guitar players had their foundation there. And I just wanted to be around people that lived and breathed music and really were talking positive about it.
Yeah.
Something that I hadn't really experienced in my home country at that moment. It's changed since.
It's good to hear. And Mike, I would also like to talk a bit about what kind of gear and guitars you're using here on this tour.
Well, first we got the hairspray and the hair wax.
That's important. That's important.
Oh, those were the old days. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I neglected to expand on guitars during the many years when I was like a front man and stuff like that. And I kind of wished I had practiced hard and stuff like that. So when I returned to the guitar again and started writing and stuff like that, it was very clear to me that I was very limited on what I could play, but at the same time, it fitted what I was going to write, but also what I naturally was doing. I'm not sitting down and trying to create something. It just comes natural to me. So I stay within a very, very square box and don't venture outside there. So the first thing, obviously, that was comfortable to me was the Telecaster.
Yeah.
I'd remember it was the first guitar I'd ever played, and when I went back to it, it was just a singer-songwriter guitar. It's a guitar you look cool playing open G chords and that kind of stuff, and that's sort of where I align. I am. I'm sort of kind of like a cross between Tom Petty and Malcolm Young.
Yeah.
Without taking anything away from two very great guitar players.
Of course.
But it's that thing where I have decided that I'm comfortable and I don't want to know any more than that. You know, I have other guitar players in the band that does all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But my part is laying the foundation of some big ringing fat chords that really supports the music. Which is why I play with 13 to 56, and every guitar player go, ooh, I'm not bending any notes. I'm basically just living comfortably in the first four frets, and I've no plans of going anywhere else. No, it's too late for that. And so again, that comes again with what kind of sound does go with that when you kind of grown up with an acoustic guitar that keeps ringing out when you're strumming in that way, that you have to find that. And you know, through my years, I'd gone through trying different amps and always just looked for a certain sound where you know, there were a heavy attack, but instantly it cleaned up. It was only there, and that's when I ended up with Malcolm Young, where that AC/DC tone is just it's only in the attack, and then instantly it's just clean. Every other player would run away from it because they wouldn't be able to bend the note and stuff like that. And then, you know, you have that, then the playing of Tom Petty or Springsteen or that kind of things.
It kind of worked for him with the Telecaster.
Exactly, you know, where that stuff works. I know, you know, they venture into some solos once in a while, but, you know, therefore that works with me. And so I've tried a lot of different things, and now I've ended up with a hand-wide Honeywatt Marshall that is a beautiful amp, and just to push it a little, I'm using the T-Rex Mod Honey. And it's simply just to add the letters on top of the sandwich. You know, as I see, this is my favorite setting. It's gain on 9, tone on 12, level on 12, and then I turn it on.
No.
And
but I
made it a while a hobby of mine to try every preamp pedal that existed out there. Because, you know, I found that reading about it was always lead guitar players that made the review, and they're sitting back there, you know, playing, you know, fast solos and sustain and on 8-gauge strings and stuff like that, and you know, nobody ever talked about how it just would work for a rhythm player or somebody who just wanted to fatten up the tone without feeding back or having any hiss or anything like that. So it took a while. I even went through all of T-Rex's pedal until I came to the Mod Honey and found that it gave me just what I needed with that, and that was just making that Marshall sound a little sweeter than it was, because that's like, you know, a couple of racehorses in there. That's like what Jimi Hendrix played on, and so when somebody like me just come and ring it like that, it needs a little bit more, you know, because I can't turn it all the way up, but still, because it's a hand-wide one, it's really pure behind, so it keeps the clear tone. And then just with the Mod Honey on, it just dirties it up enough, but instantly gets clean the second after I take the pick off the string.
And you don't want to make a mess with the sound on stage? Or
No, because I'm the kind of player that really only plays where it's needed, and really have the main guitar player play a lot of the stuff, and then, you know, come into bridges, I come into the chorus and the intros, and leave space also for the vocal. After all, I'm a singer, and I try to make the sound picture, you know, change as we go through the song, so it's not like 2 guitars on 10 from start to finish. There's a lot of space for the vocal, and when my guitar comes in really crystal clear, ringing out with you know, a heavy fat chord from Soren playing that is a nice mix.
So you're touring now throughout the summer.
Yes.
And you told me that actually, was it next week you're going to record?
We're starting on the new album next week, and I took the opportunity that while we're in tour, I kind of know where the band is, and they're sort of available. And I've obviously been writing songs since we did the last album, and now that as we come to here, you know, the songs are finished. We went into a rehearsal studio for a couple of days, you know, recorded the songs, so that the guys had an idea of what it is we're going to do. But I also kind of knew, okay, I don't need more of those kind of songs. You know, I have a lot of songs, but I wanted to make sure that I had a good mixture of interesting songs and different tempos and different things like that. You know.
And you're recording in Copenhagen?
Yes, we're doing exactly the same thing we did on the last album, which is going into a medley studio in Copenhagen and recording. We record quite fast.
You don't take 15 takes at 20.
Well, you know, I mean, that's kind of because of two reasons. Number one, these days, rock bands like myself and things like that don't have that kind of budget.
No.
At the same time, the band don't feel like they have that time to spend. I mean, it would be beautiful if we could go away in a house for like 3 months and experiment. But at the same time, it goes very quickly from the second I show the basic of the song until the band finds its balance in the song, till we're ready to record. And we want to capture our first impression of what's happening right
and all
there.
that energy you have in those
you know, I mean,
first
after
takes.
all, I hate to say the same thing over and over, but it's rock and roll, and it should work right away. I'm sure that we could come up with different solos and things like that. But you know, Mike Tramp and the Rock and Roll Circus is just not the kind of band you go listen to for fantastic long solos. It's an album of good rock and roll with some great songs. That's what I stand for, and I have made it a point to maintain. I'm my own AC/DC. Without good or bad comments. It's just I sound the same basically. I have expanded. I'm better. My band is better than the earlier solo albums, but I don't want to try to do something that I can't do. I always say to people, I'm the world's best Mike Tramp. It's what I'm good at. I'm really not good at too many other things within the music business.
Yes.
So, you know, I think it's important for anybody out there, if they're choosing their guitar sound or their kind of instrument or whatever, is in finding themselves first. You know, I understand if you're a studio musician, you have 50,000 pedals, so you can play any role. But I also notice that sometimes when you are that kind of player that have to cover that many roles, you lose some of your own personality. It's great to be a chameleon, that you can play jazz, funk, and reggae and heavy metal. But if you're really good at one thing, then that's sort of what you should do, in my opinion.
Yes. Mike, I would like to say thank you for the interview. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Have a good gig and good luck with the album.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Oh, I can't hear it. Don't laugh anymore. Why don't you see it?